What I'd like to do in this lesson is show you how to make a slab mug. Now I've got a sheet on it and it goes through this process, and I'll try to follow the sheet as closely as possible. First thing is getting your clay. Got that, make sure it's wedged up. Wedging it up, number one, gets the air out, stiffens the clay if it's too soft, and also if there's any soft or hard clay, it mixes them together. But I've already wedged this together. Get a cloth, the cloths, the wooden slats, the rolling pin, rulers, the cardboard tubes. They're all on the shelf next to the sink. The newspaper should be there also. Sometimes it's around the room and stuff, but you're going to need a piece of newspaper. And behind the sink is a metal rib and a knife. You'll need that. Then you begin by rolling out the clay. Set your boards about 10 to 12 inches apart. Make sure your rolling pin's cleaned off. If you just take this and kind of scrape across, this kind of gets that extra clay off. And then let's trim off this extra at the top. Slide these boards up just a little bit. Once this slab is rolled out flat, so that there's hardly any ripples in it, you're ready to start working with this. I lift up the clay so it doesn't stick to the cloth when I start putting the mug together. Then, take a straight edge. You're going to cut a line in it right down to here. Take that extra clay away. Now this mug you want to be between 4 to 6 inches tall. So if you measure from this edge over 4 or 6 inches, this is how tall your mug's going to be. Let's make this one, we'll go ahead and make it 6 inches tall. Put a dot here and a dot up here. And then take your wooden stick, line up with those two dots, just cut that extra away. At this end of the clay, I think it's under section 3, or the instructions number 3, if you tip your knife at an angle and kind of cut this, this is going to help seal the clay together. You just peel that extra away, and you're ready for your next step. The next step is to take this cardboard tube and you're going to roll newspaper on it. Take a half sheet of newspaper, not a full sheet. But just wrap it around. Roll it as tight as you can so that there's no wrinkles in it. Then tuck it inside on the bottom and the top. Now you're ready to start rolling this around the outside. Together. The first thing you make your marks in the clay so that it's really ready to seal up here. Then get it wet. You're going to come back, you're going to push that against there to seal it pretty well. Take your knife, cut right along the edge so it looks like this. Seal it back up. Then take your finger, I'm going to pull it across here, seal that up even more. Now the metal rib. Clean that off really well. This is nice for sealing it even more. Take this, there's a couple angles. If you need to scrape the clay off, you use it at that angle, but if you need to smooth it together, I use it at this angle. Bend it around, see how that bends? Bend it around the outside of this clay and just start smoothing it up. If you're working on this thing and all of a sudden you get a big nick in the thing like this, you can just take another piece of clay, stick it in there, and smooth it down with this metal rib. And that gets rid of all those nicks, bumps, and things that mar the outside. Just make sure it's all smoothed up well. Now to trim off the bottom. See, this is probably the lowest point in the bottom, so we're going to trim it there. If you take your knife, don't have it up high like this, but put it down at an angle like this. Just kind of go around the outside of your mug. And kind of trim it up right down to the base. Real nice. That fairly level. Then do the same thing to the top. Let me see, there's a bump here. Looks like that would be the low spot. Okay, then it's kind of level on the top and the bottom like this. Put it to the side. We're going to work on the base now. The base for the piece should be 1 board thick also. To slide this mug down, what you do is come back to the top, peel off the paper around the cardboard tube. Then hold the clay cylinder, twist that cardboard tube so it slides up in there, and then fold the newspaper in like this. Now make your marks around the bottom. Then take some water, a little bit of water on that, put it on this here, and then just kind of twist and snug it up. And then cut around the outside. Take the extra clay away. What I have to caution you is don't push hard on the top of this cylinder, because if you do, it's going to pop the bottom right out of your mug. Now you're going to take your metal rib. You'll seal this up really well. You can kind of clean up the bottom by just going around the edge, just like that, just a little bit. Then the handle. This over here. I'm going to use one of these guys for the handle. Let's use the ruler for the width. I'm going to shave off the extra clay on the far side here and just kind of come up with this. Cut the angle at the top. Take your sponge, go along the edge, get it all smooth, because these edges, if they're fired up, will become like sharp stones when you're trying to hang on to a handle, so you got to make it smooth so it's not so hard to hang on to, or so painful, I guess would be the way to say it. Then take this and flip it over and do the same to the other side. Now we're ready to attach this thing. So you'll make your marks in the clay before attaching this handle. Then put the handle on at the top like this, so it's hanging down. You put it on, and then you're going to bend it around like this. Connect it down here. Pull that bottom off. Now I'm going to seal it. Seal it in here. You're taking your finger and smoothing it down. Might go over it with a sponge when you're done. Same down here. And just kind of clean up with a sponge a little bit. Now, if your handle's made with soft clay, it's going to have the tendency to want to sag a little bit like this. See how it's wanting to sag? Make a kickstand to hold that thing up. It's just a coil of clay that you're going to put behind it. Kind of hold it at that angle so it doesn't fall over. The clay is nice because this is going to shrink the same as your mug. So it's not like it's a stone or a brick or something leaning up against it that's going to cause your handle to crack. It should dry the same. Next, twist your tube, take it out, untwist the newspaper, pull that out. I'm going to take this kickstand down so I can finish this up so I can show you what's going on. Take the knife, seal the inside. You're going to go right along the inside bottom edge just to seal up any seams, and where the clay was sealed together, just bring your knife right up along the edge and kind of just seal that nicely. And the top, take a sponge to get that really well rounded. I need to tell you something too, that clay shrinks about 10%. So you've got to be careful not to leave this cardboard tube in your mug overnight, otherwise the mug will dry, the tube won't, and you have this big crack in the side of the cylinder in the next day. So as much as possible, don't store those on the cardboard tubes. Get this top well rounded and shaped. Then the last step is make sure that your name, your full last name, first initial, and the section that you're in